Biden said in a recent interview that he isn't 100% sure he's going to run for a second term. Wow. Okay, so this ought to be a celebration by all Democrats moving into the midterms. The guy's he's DOA. I don't even think he's in charge of his government at this point. I think Susan Rice is running things, if you want to know the truth. But anyway.
Well, for Biden to actually say this in this recent 60 Minutes interview, to me, that's kind of a big deal. You know, he could have easily just said, well, yeah, why wouldn't I seek a second term? That's ridiculous. But he said, you know, I've always said it's my intention, but only an intention. You know, we'll get down to it later on. And I do think he is leaving himself that window instead of boxing himself in. Remember when he first started running, he said, I'm only doing one term.
Oh, he definitely said that. He definitely said that.
Anytime,
anytime we say this on this program, they say that's nonsense. He didn't. Yes, he did say that.
He walked it back because they got mad.
But he said, I'm going to do one term and then I'm gone. So everybody said, okay, well, anything to get rid of Trump, that's great. But you have to understand, he's not even in charge of government. I mean, take a deep dive on this. Maybe you and I ought to do a show, a segment on this. Take a look at how many decisions Susan Rice is making right now. I mean, big decisions. Now, Susan Rice, if you remember, was the person at the heart of Iraq. You know, she was part of the big lie. Yeah. The big lie about weapons of mass destruction. We knew that was a lie. She promoted it. She promoted it with the New York Times. She was the voice. And then she got Powell involved and tried to convince the American public that this is real, that there's weapons of mass destruction. Susan Rice, you can hang all of that around her neck. That's the person making decisions, I believe, for Biden right now.
Well, and so we have to ask the question, too, if Biden's not going to run, then who's he going to be? Gavin Newsom is chomping at the bit to throw his hat in to run for president. He's challenging Ron DeSantis to debates already.
I know.
And that would be a hell of a fight.
I think it's going to be DeSantis versus Newsom. And I think that and we've talked about this before. Yeah. DeSantis is going to sweep Middle America. He's going to sweep the South, and you're going to have that division of East Coast, West Coast, California, New York, Eastern Seaboard. And I just don't think Newsom can win. I think there's a hink about California that has developed, right or wrong. It's this attitude that people, I mean, my God, people trying to move from California to Montana or Colorado, you ought to hear what the locals out there think about California. And so I think Newsom's got he's a good politician. I think he's a good candidate. But I think to beat DeSantis, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, I mean, a race between those two would probably end up coming down to Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin.
That's exactly right.
And
that's exactly right.
They don't have a good history going for Democrats recently.
Well, they don't like California. I mean, that's not just me talking. It's just this pervasive idea about California. And it's not my idea. There's tons of people who've written about it. And so you've got Newsom versus DeSantis. And I think DeSantis, unless he really screws up, takes that.
We'll see what happens after Ian here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be a big test for him.
Yeah, exactly. Farron, thanks for joining me, okay?
Thank you.
That's all for this week, but all of these segments are going to be available this coming week right here on this channel, and you can follow us on Twitter at America's Lawyer. I'm Mike Papantonio, and this has been America's Lawyer, where we tell you the stories that corporate media won't tell you because their advertisers won't let them. Their political connections just don't allow for it. We'll see you next time.